Wednesday. How are you? This is our live training every Wednesday right now. And today we're coming, I came live at 12 p.m. Eastern time to see if some more of you could hop on at this time. I'll post a poll soon in the group to see if there is an even better time to get to be live face to face and share information with each other. So, how are you? I hope you are feeling well. I know a lot of us are maybe experiencing some storms, be they weather storms or political storms. But you know what? We can always come here and focus on ourselves and our wellness and feel better just like that because we can start with our mindset, which determines how we feel and then determines how we act. So today we're going to start talking mindset first about hormones and exercise. Remember, all of January here in the Well Women's community, we are talking about hormones because they're a part of everything we do all the time, not just when we're teenagers and having a crush, but they're an even bigger part, playing an even bigger role behind the scenes all the time when we're after 35. And a lot of us here are in our 40s, 50s, and 60s and want to live a well woman's lifestyle. So, how can we exercise and have happy hormones at the same time? This is a huge, really cool piece of learning that I love to talk about. The theme for us now to have happy hormones and to exercise is to think about exercising smarter instead of harder. This is especially true after age 35. Here's the quick science behind why. When we exercise in the ways that so many of us grew up hearing we should be doing, which is exercising harder, doing more and more cardio, sweating as much as we can, working out for a long time, we release this hormone called cortisol. And a lot of folks will call that hormone the stress hormone, and some people call it the fat storage hormone. Could give it a million names because it has so many jobs in our body, but it does get released when we perceive that we're stressed. It does get released when our body thinks we're in fight or flight, which is what our body thinks we're in when we do high intensity cardio because we're running. And it does control our blood pressure. It does impact our ability to fall asleep and stay asleep at night and wake up in the morning. It's a really powerful, important hormone. And for so many of us, because we're under chronic stress, because we chronically don't get enough quality sleep, and because so many of us are chronically over exercising, our cortisol hormone isn't quite where it should be, and so nothing else is quite where it should be. Some signs you notice when this is happening, and it can simply be because you're over exercising, is that you might experience this wired but tired feeling at night, and you can't fall asleep or stay asleep very well anymore, especially waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You might notice that you were absolutely exhausted after exercise, even though you didn't used to have that feeling. You might notice that you are grouchy, frustrated, anxious, often, and not sure what's the source of that. You might notice that you are, just have an energy crash in the afternoon to the extent that you're falling asleep by accident on the couch. You're relying on caffeine or sugary treats to keep you awake when you didn't used to need to do that. You're having a really hard time getting out of bed in the morning. All of those can be signs or symptoms that your cortisol hormone isn't happy, and so everything else isn't happy. And all of that can come from overexercise. There's usually a few other underlying things going on, but this overexercising can be a huge piece of the puzzle. So, how do we know if we're overexercising beyond feeling those symptoms? Well, think about how much time are you spending doing high intensity cardio, where your heart rate's pretty high and you're gasping for breath and you're sweating pretty hard. Maybe you're doing Tabata or interval training or a cardio class at the gym, or you're running on the treadmill. The latest research we have, and granted, maybe all of it has not been done on women our age because we're just not often the subject of research, but the research we have is saying when you're doing more than 40 or 50 minutes per week, not per day, ladies, per week of that high intensity business, that's enough. Any more than that, and you start to have what they call diminishing returns. So you start to have all those symptoms we were talking about because you're getting too much stress hormone released from too much high intensity exercise. And you're also getting exposed to more possibilities for injury, wear and tear on your joints, those type of things. So I am hard pressed to find other women when I ask them about this who are doing not too much cardio. I know I sure was doing too much cardio. I was at the gym every day of the week. I was going 5 days a week. An hour and 15-minute classes is what my gym had to offer. And that's part of because that's just what they do at the gym. It's part of their business model. And they are right at some times for some people, but I was there every day for an hour and 15 minutes minimum. And then I usually went and did something more. I went and walked on the treadmill more. I went and picked up some weights more. I went and did more. And then when that was leaving me exhausted and seeing belly fat out of nowhere and unable to sleep and gaining weight even though I was eating as little as I could, you know what I did? I added on a Saturday workout because I had been raised, like so many of us who are over 35, in the generation who was taught work out harder and eat less. That's how you lose weight. And so I think most of us are still stuck in that mindset. And unfortunately, it is working against our biology. It's working against how our body really burns fat. It's working against how our hormones have balance and leaving us feeling pretty bad, but we have just been so trained to exercise harder to lose weight that we don't ever think that that's the problem. But it is. It is a very, very big part of the problem. So, what do we do instead? Um, Number one, you just trust this process for a minute because I know when I first learned, started reading the research and learned the truth behind over exercising, I was like, oh boy, it is going to take a lot of faith for me to try this because I'm afraid I'm going to gain weight even more when I stop all this exercising. So you're going to have to have a little bit of trust in the science. But then here's what I also liked. I learned what to do instead. And so what to do instead of every day, hour after hour of all that cardio, instead it's really smart at any age, and especially after 35, and I'll tell you why in a second, to add on in place of all those cardio classes. And we're talking spinning classes and all of that, which I know you love, and you've still got 50 minutes a week to do that. You can still go to one or two classes, right? I want you to add on, though, or replace that over cardioing that is holding you stuck where you are in unwellness and keeping the belly fat and letting it come on, encouraging it, because cortisol makes your body store fat in your midsection. I want you to add on some strength training. And this kind of strength training is going to be with heavy weights that as you learn to lift them and you begin to use them, you are out of breath. And you are like, this is almost cardio, Amanda. It's not high intensity cardio, but I feel my heart pumping. I feel the sweat. That's what we're going to do. And here is the science behind why this is such a good idea. Not only do we have research to say that this strength training, I'm going to call it, can burn more fat than the cardio and can keep your body in this fat burning mode for longer after the exercise is over. But you also have like mountains of research that says this strength training is vital after age 35 for two more reasons. Maybe even more important than fat loss. I don't know. They're all very important. And those two reasons are that it will help you keep your bones strong so you don't develop osteoporosis, which is when your bones begin to fall apart. None of us want that and become brittle, and we just lose our quality of life. And guess what? This is amazing. There's something called sarcopenia, which is this process that starts to happen depending on the research you read. I'm going to go with around age 35. Our muscle system starts to just deteriorate all on its own naturally around age 35 via sarcopenia if we don't get enough load bearing exercise going on with our muscles. And that just happens. There's nothing we're doing wrong. It just happens. So this is another reason why, hello, our 40s, our after 35, this is the perfect time to learn to dial down all that cardio business and go to a weight training class. Ask your personal trainer to get you a weight training, strength building routine where you're going to be lifting heavy weights. You're going to get up to like 25 pounds in each hand eventually and build some muscle so you can protect your muscular system. Now, why would we want to protect? We get why we want to protect the bones. We get why we want to burn fat and not have the cortisol, right? That's obvious. We don't want the belly fat. We don't want all the stress hormone. We get why we want to protect our bones and lift the heavy weights to not get osteoporosis, right? But why do we want to keep our muscle system? Well, In large part and in general terms, your metabolism, your body's burning energy and your body feeling like it has energy, your metabolism comes from your muscle system. So no wonder around 35, so many of us say, oh, I lost my metabolism because I had kids, or I lost my metabolism because of age. No, we are losing our metabolism because we're losing our muscles around 35, and it just happens naturally. Why our body? I'm not sure why. Why body? Why? Why? It's the same with other things like hair loss. Why? Why is that how it goes? But anyway, we don't want to lose our metabolism because we want to feel energized. We want to get out of bed in the morning. We want to feel great in the afternoon. We want to keep up with our children and our friends and family and our activities and have the energy to live our purpose, whatever it is in the season that we're in. And that comes from our muscles. And they're naturally deteriorating if we're not doing something about it. So if you don't already have a job or a hobby that you do often every day that's having you lift heavy stuff, it's time to incorporate some strength training. And that's what you can do with all that extra time you're going to have because you're going to stop going to an hour and a half cardio class every day, 5 days a week. And you're going to get results because you're going to have happier hormone balance. Because that cortisol stress hormone isn't going to be going wild and crazy. It's going to get back to where it should be. And that is going to let all the other hormones that work with it, like a symphony, that's how hormones are, do their jobs well. And then you're going to get your sleep back. You're going to stop storing belly fat. You're going to have your energy back, your mood balance back. The frustration and anxiety are going to lessen. I know that sounds so hard to believe, but it happened to me. It happens to my clients. And I've talked with my hormone specialist about why this is true. And there are hormones out there that are your happy hormones, literally. They make you feel certain feelings of confidence and I've got this. And when your cortisol, your stress hormone, is raging and putting everyone else out of balance, you can't have balanced feelings and emotions. It isn't possible. And so this overexercising, when we get it reined in and we're replacing it with enough strength training, frustration and anxiety are going to lessen for you. Now, here's my exact formula I use because I want to talk to you about the other 2 days of the week. So I do 2 days of high intensity interval training that often look like Tabata, if you've heard of that, where I work for 20 seconds as hard as I can and then I let my heart rate recover for 40 seconds. And I do that for about a 20-minute period with a warm up and a cool down. So that's 2 days a week for me. That's my high intensity cardio days. I save so much time with this schedule. So I spent about 50 minutes, maybe 60 minutes on working out 2 days a week with this high intensity interval training, high intensity cardio. That could be your spin class, it could be your cardio class at the gym. Though I'm going to encourage you to just make up an excuse of why you have to leave early. You, it is not good for your wellness and your fat burning to stay and do the 60 minutes of high intensity exercise in one day. It just isn't. And you know it, you feel it. I was there. I felt it. I looked around the class. I saw the other women feeling it too. We've got to do what's right, not what we're used to. And it's going to take some mindset shifting, but you're worth that. So then after those 2 days back to back, I have some strength training mixed in with some rest days. That's what I want to get to, is that in my exercise life that I plan ahead for, because in my opinion, learning to plan ahead is a piece of a well woman's lifestyle. So in my exercise life, I have those 2 days back to back of high intensity interval training. Then I have 3 days of strength training, and they're broken up a little bit. So on Wednesday, I use some strength training, and there's lots of different ways it could look, lots of different ways you can organizing it. Depending on what you and your trainer have going on, you could do a whole body day, a day where you're using lots of exercises that use all the body parts. That's what I do on Wednesday usually. Then Thursday, I focus on my upper body. Friday, I have a day of rest and recovery, and I'll talk about what that means because I want you to have that in there too. And then Saturday, I work on my lower body, my legs and the glutes, huge muscle system, super important. And then on Sunday, I have a day of rest and recovery again. So I want you to have about 3 strength training sessions in there because based on what we see from research, that can be the amount of time. They're about half an hour each is all I do. And then I need to add on 10 minutes to cool down at the end and a little time to stretch. Research tells us thumbs up on that one for results for your wellness. And then having these 2 rest and recovery days is super important. Again, so we don't spike up that stress hormone cortisol and defeat ourselves, work against our body instead of with it. So, what does rest and recovery look like? For me, right now, it looks like an hour-long walk with my family, a hike that's pretty gentle, a really gentle swim, a really gentle bike ride where I could talk to my kids the whole time, and not be out of breath. And it could look like a gentle yoga session, a gentle Pilates session. And the point of this rest and recovery exercise, the research behind it, is that if your blood is circulating for about that hour's time, it gives your body time to pump out the toxins that came from building new muscle, from tearing muscle tissue and rebuilding. And so you'll have less soreness. That's one of the pieces behind calling it recovery. And then also keeping it gentle or not getting our heart rate up is giving our body time to rest, which is needed. We are not going to function optimally and find wellness and then that great effect of side effect of fat burning when we don't build rest into our lives. And in my opinion, after the year we had in 2020 and the lives that we all live, it will make us well to learn to build in rest, to embrace the mindset that says, I deserve rest. I deserve time to sit in stillness and maybe meditate or pray or journal or reflect or do yoga and reflect on how I feel during that time. I deserve to have that in my life. I deserve that slow down, that quiet time, that catch my breath time. I am a human being. I deserve to just be. I don't always have to do. I'm not a human doing. Doing does not make me who I am. Doing does not determine my value. I'm wonderful and valuable just as I am, and rest days reinforce that type of thinking because it makes you just be and know that it's great and it's okay to just take a day off. And it teaches you you can escape that diet mindset. I'm often talking with my well women about this and my Faster Way to Fat Loss VIP clients just talked about it with me today. You can either have a diet mindset that leaves you in food prison with disempowerment when you really think about it. We all know it does. Or you can be working towards a well woman's mindset where you're living a lifestyle of empowerment around exercise and food and everything you do. And having these rest days where you let yourself rest and you don't say, oh, I have to exercise away all that food I ate. Having these rest days reinforces that belief, that mindset that you can rest and you can exercise because it's a form of self care. We're not over here exercising to burn off the food we ate. 100% not any of that anymore. That's diet mindset. That's workout 5 days, 6 days a week mindset. It doesn't work. It's not what you deserve. You deserve the well woman's long term lifestyle mindset that I exercise because I enjoy it. It brings me peace. It relieves stress. My body loves to move. I look forward to it. I learn new things. I show myself I can do hard things. It has nothing to do anymore with working away the food that I ate. And again, to rest days when we don't even exercise, we're not proving our value. We're not burning off calories that we're ashamed that we ate. Practicing rest days practices this long-term wellness lifestyle, well woman's lifestyle mindset. And you've got to practice it if you want to change it, or 40 years of the diet mindset are just going to keep replaying in your mind and nothing is going to change in the way you think or the way you feel or the way that you act. Pretty crazy, huh? Pretty powerful mindset. But mindset, there is no escaping how powerful it is. So let's embrace this. Let's just try it out. If you want to learn with me how to set this up for yourself, that is something that I coach women in how to do. I can help you figure out how to talk to your personal trainer about setting up a happy hormones exercise setup for yourself as a woman over 40 if they don't already understand that. I can help you to some extent find resources on the internet to do all of this. Um, so that you can get the results that you want, which is to be well long term. I know that's what you really want. None of us really want to always just be on a diet and always just be at the gym and never feel all that great, right? So, the best way to stay in touch with me about the support that I offer is most of you are already here in the Well Women's community with me, which is my private Facebook group. If you're catching this on Instagram or somewhere else, just use the link that I have provided. There's a link in my bio on Instagram to come join us in the Well Women's community. where this is what we do together, and this is what we talk about. This is what we cheer each other on about, is using a lifestyle like this, a well woman's lifestyle, instead of a dieting lifestyle, or I'm not good enough lifestyle, or food disempowerment. None of that. So I would love to have you. And if you are already here in the Well Women's community, remember to listen in tomorrow morning, Thursdays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 8 a.m. I always am sharing my food freedom formula about how I eat carbohydrates, proteins, and fats in a balance that's really great for our digestion, our blood sugar, our insulin, so that you can be well long term, so that you can be burning fat if that's what you want to be doing, and have food freedom. So I will be live 8 a.m. tomorrow sharing about all the healthy carbs that are happening, all the good stuff that I'm eating. And I will be um, giving you all the tips and tricks. So I'll see you there. All right. Have a fantastic rest of the day. And I'll talk to you soon in the group. And if you're on Instagram, I would love to see you asking to join the group. All right. Have a good one.